Well, hello, 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 and welcome back to the Naked and Truth podcast. It is me, Desiree Deis, and I am not alone today, guys. I am so excited because we have a really special athlete that is with us today. Her name is Desiree Deis. She is a full-time Pilates instructor in Saskatoon. She is also a dance instructor on the side of that, and her her background is really quite incredible because she's not only just a wellness competitor, but she is also a strongman competitor. So, Desiree, can you say hey to all the listeners?
Hey everyone.
How's your day going so far?
Oh, it's going pretty good. Just in between teaching all my Pilates classes for the day. So I'm excited to be able to chat with you and be able to talk of all things movement, fitness, bodybuilding, whatever we end up spilling out.
I love it. And, thank you so much for finding the time for me because you are very busy. Because on top of everything that you're doing right now, you were just very successful at your last show a couple of weekends ago. Is that correct?
Yeah. I just did the SAS Classic in Regina. That was May 14th. And yeah, got first place in my wellness category.
So, for all of you who do not know, that now means that she is qualified for the pro show, which is taking place in roughly about 10 days in Toronto. So, she is in prep again for that. So, how's everything going for your prep right now?
It's feeling really good. I am so excited and just regardless of calorie deficits and kind of grinding it through, that's kind of the push that I really like
Yeah.
hitting into nationals because everyone going there is in the same place. So you have the feeling of knowing that these other athletes are, working hard to try to get this pro card. And it just only lights a fire up my butt even more to push every day. And so it doesn't feel like for me right now that I'm struggling, but like there's dips in the day, of course, that are going to
Natural,
feel the
right?
struggle, right?
Yeah, that's exactly it. If there's no pain, you're not gaining, right?
Exactly.
So now I want to stick on your competition side of things for now when it comes to bodybuilding, because this is not your first competition. Is that correct?
That's correct.
So
Yeah.
you have competed in wellness prior to this, right?
Exactly. I actually even started as a figure competitor, actually.
No way. So when did your
Yeah.
competition days really actually start for you?
So my first attempt uh, was 2017. I was ready to get ready for literally a week out. I
Okay.
got a staph infection.
No.
A week out. Yeah. So what happened was I was at the gym doing my cardio.
Okay.
I don't recall anything hurting that day. And I remember right after I went to go teach my classes at my Pilates studio. And as the morning went on, I felt like this weird knee pinchy feeling. And I was like, I don't know what's going on with that. And so, got home and then, I was just kind of resting up. I was like, well, maybe I hurt myself, but I didn't feel like it did. So I was
Yeah.
like icing it and everything. And it looked red. And I was just like, this is kind of weird. And I was like, oh, I guess I'll have to put my leg up. And I couldn't bend my knee for the longest of time. And so I just was like, okay, maybe it's just like a weird injury. And I literally waited like 2 or 3 days before
Yeah.
going to the hospital.
Like we do, right? Like we do.
Because I was like, I mean, I've never had a staph infection before. So I was like, I have no idea what this thing is. So I was just like, so I go to the emergency or whatever. I was like, okay, so there's something wrong with my knee. I don't know what's going on. They're
Yeah.
like, they poke like a giant needle to make sure there's no
Ah,
fluid in my knee joint with no painkillers. I was like, and
okay.
it's just
Not
like,
expecting this one.
no, not at all. And so then they gave me IVs or whatever, and they're like, yeah, there's a staph infection or something, or they called it cellulitis as well. So, I had to go back every day to get an IV, and so I built up enough bacteria that wasn't enough for daily. So like
Shit.
the third day, I had to be hospitalized for 8 days to
No.
have.
And how far out are you at this point?
I was a week out. I was a week out.
No.
Yeah, I was like,
So, like, the stress on you overall at that point was just like you had no other choice but
oh
to let that go. Hey.
yeah, like I'm sure the immune system was probably like, it's shot, right? Because you got low calories, you got lots of cardio, you're doing
Abs-
training, so like your body's not ready to recover as fast as you'd want it to. And so
Yeah.
yeah, so I was hospitalized for 8 days after that, and then it took about 5 weeks or so to be able to come back to work. Just because I couldn't load them on my leg, and you're on painkillers, and so my leg would have built up a lot of fluid retention. So it was
Yeah.
just like, But
you didn't lose your leg, and that's what
didn't.
matters the
That's right. Yeah,
most.
exactly. I
Okay.
lived out of it. It was great. And so,
Holy smokes. So you were
yeah,
like, hey, maybe I will take another shot at competing again.
yeah, exactly. So 2018 was my redemption year, uh, doing the figure category. So I did, how many, I think there was like two regional shows and then a provincial show. So at the time it was, um, CBBF, I believe. And so it was, different regulations than this PA currently. So that you had to do a regional and provincials before you would go to a national level,
Okay.
or to some degree. So yeah, I got second place in my categories, for my two regional shows, and then I went to provincials and got fourth, I believe.
Wow. Good for
And
you.
yeah, so it was a lot of fun. And then I took an off season and worked to improve my body. And along that way, I heard about this wellness category that was coming to the IFBB, and then it was going to come
Totally.
through Canada. And it was like, I was looking at, what is this criteria about, or what is the body shape, and what is it your physique needs to look like. And it
Yeah.
felt like, for my body, I was just like, my body is shaped and more adapted to that than I felt like the figure
The
category
figure.
was.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, I'll just jump on over. And so fall of 2020 was my
Yeah.
first wellness show, which
Okay.
again, through the pandemic, of course, was really fun to be able to prep for that in your house while you have all your weights and different bands and things like that.
Of
So
course.
yeah.
Beautiful. Okay. So now I want to know, like, what do you think has been a changing factor throughout each prep for you? Because obviously, for the most part, you've been through 3 really big years for yourself, right?
Mhm.
And so, what do you feel like has changed year over year and now bringing you to where you are? You're about to hit a national stage again. Like, what do you think has really grown you into the athlete that you are now?
I find the little details that sometimes when you start, you kind of brush off the side. So one detail, I think posing is
Mhm.
the most critical part. Like I felt that, I didn't need a posing coach, because it's like, well, I'm a dance instructor, I'm a Pilates instructor. I have
I got the
the
moves.
ability, I've got the moves. I know how to twist. I know how to do all
Yeah,
those
yeah,
things.
yeah.
But it's
Much
like,
more natural than most
you
people
need,
would be coming into it, right?
yeah. And you still need one, because I mean, like, you're subjective to your own body, first of all, and you
Hmm.
can't see looking backward on, like, what you're doing back there or up there or whatever. And it's just, if you have someone else to watch you, they can tell you if you're twisting enough or too much, or if you need to change your angles a little bit to fit suiting to the criteria of your posing that you need to do. I found that was probably a really big one.
Yep, that
um
extra eye to detail for sure.
yeah. um I found, and again, everyone goes into preps differently. I find just finding a meal plan versus macro tracking, I find it just takes so much less decision making on what
Mhm.
foods to eat. And it's not like, maybe a coach makes you a food plan and maybe you don't like it, but maybe you can adapt it to foods that you like, and then just like stick to it the whole time,
Yeah,
because your brain will thank you because you're thinking of so many things every day. And if you're, I mean, we all know that your brain burns calories, whatever, things like that. But like, when you get to like the nitty gritty parts at the end, like, you don't want to think about what you're eating. It's just like, have it prepped, ready to go in the fridge, put it in your mouth, get going for whatever you need to go for your day. Because again, as I'm a busy moving person, it's like, I can't take that much time to think about, okay, I want to fit this in my body and things like that. So I find that it's just easier just to stick with a meal plan, whether your coach or not made it, and then make sure it fits well for your body. Because again, you might like certain foods, but your body may not respond well to it if it's got a little sensitivity to it, that you
for
want to be
sure.
a little bit more mindful of that too.
Well, and you know what? Sensitivities and also cravings, right? A lot of people don't realize that you crave what you eat a lot of the time.
Mhm.
And being able to stick to something consistently can help minimize a lot of those, sugar cravings that you're trying to stay away from and different things like that, those fatty food cravings. Now, the other thing that I just wanted to add in with that is that, yeah, like the simplicity of it, because I think a lot of people don't realize how big of a beast prep is in and of itself for the duties that you need to fulfill throughout the day. And you look at somebody like Desiree, and she's pushing herself in the sense of, she's got multiple jobs that she's working. She's giving her energy to her clients firsthand in person. She's using her body throughout her day. And that's the next thing that I just want to touch on is being such an athletic person outside of prep in and of yourself. Like, what are some of the challenges that you've run into when it comes to, trying to increase cardio and making sure that you are getting the calorie burn that you need? Are you finding that you're having to step away from stepping away from using cardio and steps as manipulation and more so leaning on reduction of calories for that? Or what does that look like for you?
Yeah, it's definitely more so for my preps is definitely a lot more focusing on the calorie deficit of food versus getting the deficit from cardio, because I do move so much. Because again, we all adapt to what your environment is. So like
Mhm.
someone that's an office desk worker, right? They're sitting 8 hours a day, and then their cardio is their, that's their particular movement, right? So for me teaching Pilates is not my cardio, that's my work.
Mhm.
And that's what my body's used to doing all the time.
Yeah.
So it's in a stressful position in a healthy way.
Yeah.
But when I add too much cardio, if that is where I needed to get my deficits from, that's when my body's going to get a lot more strained. And then there's a lot more things that you have to consider, like, your joint health, and then
Mhm.
prioritizing more sleep because you're moving way more, or that
Recovery.
recovering. And so like, um, I find that when my body gets a little stressed out because of that staph infection, at least I believe, that my body can retain water quite easily if it's feeling very inflamed, or, the
Yeah.
recovery of my body from weight training is not picking up the way that it should. So,
Mhm.
yeah, for some people, they prefer to have more calories and they'll just, grind through cardio. And for me, it's
That's
like, well,
me.
right. Yeah. Yeah. Some people are like, give me all the calories so then I'll just go on the
I'll
steps
be
up there
on
all
there
the
for
time.
hours for you. It's
Yeah,
okay.
that's right. Right. And it's like, yeah, I would love to have more food, but you know what? Right now, it's
Your
like
movement.
my movement is it needs to be a priority, that it doesn't need to be that high for me. So,
Yeah.
and that's okay. And you just have to tit for tat. You got to pick one or the other, and
You really
sometimes,
do.
yeah.
And that's the thing is you got to pick on what's going to work best for the person, because it's not like she can go quit her job or just like choose to just like sit in the corner while everybody else is doing the work, right? Like she's got to lead firsthand in the way that she's instructing her clients. And it's just something that I very much admire is when people do take on prep and they are already such moving beings throughout the day with their jobs. So like, seriously, girl, mad props to you. Because the other part is too, is a lot of people don't realize that like if somebody came in and started Desiree's job, they would that would be a new energy burn for them. So they would start making changes on their body and then their body would adapt. Just like, some of us have gone and gotten serving jobs and you're on your feet all the time. And, all of a sudden you start to notice that you lost like maybe 5 pounds, but then it just kind of stays there. You know what I mean? And it's because your body ends up adapting. So that's what she was explaining there. And I think it's just really cool that our body will always let us know the answer if we're willing to listen to it, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, so touching on your strongman competition, can you fill us in on what you've been getting up to there? You're doing cool things all the time. I see your videos, you're lifting weird, heavy shit, and I'm loving every bit of it. So let us know, what are you up to?
Yeah. So, kind of dabbling into the strongman slash strong woman kind of stuff. Um, it was more so my boyfriend, Tyler. He's been really dabbling into it. And so last summer, he
Okay.
started going to a local gym here in the city that is focused on strongman. So the Barbarian Strength Gym. And
Okay.
first of all, the name of that place, I'm like, that's so awesome.
Yeah, so cool.
And so cool. So I'm like, yeah, we got him a membership for him to be there. And so there was um, a summer, no, actually it was the same weekend as my national show that was in September. So I couldn't actually watch his first show or whatever, but he was really like, just seeing his eyes light up of like just exciting different things in fitness that he has
Right?
always wanted to dabble into, but never did. And so seeing his spark was really exciting when there was a rookie show coming up in February, and I heard about it back in, I think, November, December of this past year. And I was like, you know what, that might be fun, because I'm going to probably still be in my improvement season. I'll probably still have lots of calories to eat. And so I won't feel drained to try to train for some of that. So
Yeah.
you end up finding about like the events that are in that event, like, so within the strong man or woman competitions, that you end up doing about maybe 5 or 6 events, and you learn about which ones those are maybe about a month or a month and a half out from then. So you don't
Wow.
really train for the specific things
Specifically, no.
until you hear out of the event, you know, which things are you going to do.
Wow.
And so, yeah, so it's really cool. And
Yeah, what a fun challenge.
yeah, so it's just really neat to see, um, and there's different weight categories for women, because there's different, obviously, um, different than women's bodybuilding, where we're not being weighed, but this one
Yeah.
you are, because we all got our different sizes, and so you're going to be lifting different weights.
That makes perfect sense to make it fair for how they're scoring, right?
Yeah, yeah, and so this was, they called it the Rookie Rumble, and
Aw.
Jackie O from the city here had put it on, and it was a great turnout. Like, I don't know how many people would have gone otherwise, but there was a good chunk of men and male and female being there. And in my weight category, I got second place out of it too. So I was just really
No
excited for
way.
that. Yeah.
Congratulations. You are just like,
Yeah.
you are the woman, I tell you. This woman is the woman. I love that.
Ah,
So like, okay, so now you also competed in something else just on the same weekend, right?
yeah.
As your past regional wellness competition. So you had that on the Saturday, and then
Yes.
you woke up the next day after this amazing win to go kick more ass. And can you tell us what you
Exactly.
did then?
Exactly. Yeah. So that was there was a grip strength competition in Regina. So the metal gym there was hosting one. It was a national level strength competition. And so, yeah, I got first place in that. There was 5 events that were strength based on the grip. So there's just there's 3 of them that, no, 4 of them that had the kettle bar, and then there's different handles that we had to use. And so the goal is to get your PR, or your best, and then hopefully that you were the best out of your weight category. And
Wow.
yeah, so that was really exciting. And
Okay, so now does that actually cross over with strongman, or is that something of a separate entity of itself? I genuinely hadn't seen anything like it until I saw you posting it. And I was
yeah,
like, that is pretty freaking cool.
you know what? I think it's under Strongman Corporation. I think they registered it under that, but I think
Okay.
Grip Strength is also, I think it's got its own slight different category in terms of like different strength sports out there. But yeah, I'm also kind of under the assumption that it is technically a strongman event.
Okay.
But yeah,
Well, you know what? Like, cheers to you and your success. You're obviously doing a great job of understanding the sport, really getting your feet wet to be able to pull out these wins that you are. And so I want to know next, what do you feel like is the biggest difference between training for something like strongman and training for like a wellness competition in bodybuilding? Because they are both very, very difficult to do. There's a lot of similarities, and I kind of want to hear what the similarities and the differences are, and how you think that you're able to do both at the same time, because that's really badass too, where a lot of people wouldn't even consider doing a different type of competition at the same time, especially
yes.
strength.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's definitely got similarities and differences. Um, I would say similar that, hmm, you know what, maybe I'll go with comparisons, differences.
Start with
uh,
the
I'm
differences.
gonna start with differences. Uh, I find that with bodybuilding, like hypertrophy wise, because you're trying to build muscle, right? So I mean, like, sure, you can have like you can look big in muscles, but you may not necessarily be strong in those. So
Mm,
so some people train the way they train hypertrophy, right? You might be someone that you can do a bunch of reps, but then you need the power from someone like a strongman, right? When there's an exercise or an event that maybe you have to pump out, like, I don't know, you have 1 minute to be able to pull a certain amount of weight on a deadlift, right?
yeah.
So you have a time restriction to have to fit as many as possible. Whereas if someone had the same amount of weight as a bodybuilder and someone told you to do, whatever you wanted in a minute, someone would probably go really slow and really controlled and move and not, worry about time, where they can focus on their contracting their muscles really strong. And so the strong man, I mean, sure, you need form, but their goal is to make sure that they're getting as many as possible so they get first place.
They're pumping through.
Yeah. So, the physique wise of bodybuilding, right? Your end result is not what's happening in the gym, but what you put on stage. Versus when you're trying to practice all these events for strongman, right? You have to be able to execute the weight or the movement or the exercise within a given time, and you're trying to be your best, although you don't know what everyone else's best is going to be that day.
Mm-hmm.
And it's interesting because with those 5 events for strongman, for example, so like an event could be like 5 or 6 hours long, depending on how many people show up. So kind of like a powerlifting competition where, everyone's got to go through the same event.
Yeah.
With males and females, weight categories, and then you go to the next event, you do all those. So there's a lot of downtime in between where your body can cool down, your energy kind of drops off, and then you have to find more. So you're fueling yourself a little differently as a strong man versus a power or a bodybuilder. It'll be fun to be able to eat the way that a power or a strong man gets to eat versus a bodybuilder.
Totally.
It's it's 2 different worlds there, that's for sure. Totally different worlds in terms of the eating aspects.
Yeah. And so when it comes, so there's 2 things that I want to note here. So it seems like strongman is really a crossover between bodybuilding, CrossFit, and powerlifting. Hey, it really is almost like a mix of the 3 together. So when it comes to the weigh-in and of itself, are you trying to meet a weight class, and is there stress put on that weigh-in, or is it kind of more relaxed and it's not as stressful as like a fighter's weigh-in where you need to meet that class? What does that look like for weigh-in?
I think it depends on the level of expertise you're in. I think that as you're getting, more years into it, you're probably more, I would say, stressed up about your weigh-in, because I'm sure that you're probably being real strategic with what weights you're picking up and stuff.
Yeah.
I guess if you're close, if you're close in between 2 weights, I guess you're, whatever one that you're working towards, I mean, you're probably going to either have to, try to add more weight or take away less. So for me, I was on the cusp of almost being I was the lightweight in the rookie rumble one in the February there. So I just had to make sure that morning I was just under 160 pounds or something like that. And that was no problem in that regard. So I wasn't too stressed out about that. But again, for me, I was just like, whatever, if I end up having to be over on the other side, whatever, I'll just do those weights of whatever that event was.
And do you happen to know if there's a lot of stress? Do you happen to know if there's a lot of stress on people that are weighing in the sense of, I know that that's something that can be really damaging to especially female fighters that I've spoken with, their relationship with the scale and losing weight, how quickly they are expected to lose weight. That type of thing really gets colluded sometimes when they've dropped that fighting aspect and now they're trying to look after their lifestyle health. Yeah. And so that's one thing that I'm wondering if you're noticing it all through your experience in strongman with that weigh-in, or is it almost like a different mentality where it's you want to weigh heavier, you want to be that bigger class, because it's really interesting the differences between the 2,
Yeah, I actually find just that. I find that it's actually more, they look forward to not having to worry about their weight. I found that the women that were the heavyweight weight categories, they just jumped on. They didn't give a shit or anything if they were, because they're like, there's no way I'm going to be under that weight. And so they're like, hell yeah, I'm a big ass woman that can pick up this shit over my head. And it's so awesome to see that, because it's just so encouraging of fitness doesn't have to be these skinny people. You can be fit and have body fat on you and be able to push a log over your head And that's pretty badass. And it was so encouraging to see that event at the Rookie Rumble and how much cheering there was for the heavyweight women and those that were lots of, or not experienced because it was a rookie thing. So, people that had never even done it before, like some people came into the event not knowing any of the exercises and they just went for it and tried it, like flipping a tire and then pulling rope. It was really quite inspiring to see that, or just that motivation, or just being inspired by those people just going for it. And it was just really eye-opening to see that from a lot of females.
I think that that's so cool because, I think that the strong man really allows the message of strength. And I think that, bodybuilding can create a lot of really bad body obsessions. And a lot of females are focused on their scale weight for the stage, or everybody's talking about their body fat percentage. And it's just like, nobody's talking about your body fat percentage when it comes to judging, you know what I mean? And it's these serious extremes that I think that a lot of people can get lost in, not realizing that there can still be a health aspect to bodybuilding, right? And so yeah, I think that it's really admirable that you can be in both sports that really are so drastically different in the message of what they are providing. And the fact that you can, step off a stage on the wellness side of things and take that win, but then also go the next day and being at such a low and such a deficit. And, you you literally just took that win and then you go into a strength competition the next day. Like most people are so dehydrated. Most people are so, they're fatigued. Their CNS is just through the roof and they're really not functioning well. And I think that just goes to show how healthy you really approached it. And I think that it really does truly scream like the real meaning of health. So I think that you should be really proud of yourself for that.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I do really prioritize on making sure that health is always there. And then, I mean, like, of course, nearing the end of bodybuilding competitions, usually it's not as healthy. But I mean, again, this is hence the word extreme sports, right? That's why, not everyone does it, right?
That's
Because
exactly it.
you get to this point, and that's why it's still inspiring for those that are lifestyle clients that are still trying to drop weight similar to like bodybuilders, but they don't have to go to that extreme. And there's no need for those people to go there. But of course,
Yeah.
hopefully that they know that they shouldn't expect themselves to ever look like what someone's going to look like on stage, because that is only for one day. It's
Mhm.
not going to last
No.
any longer than that.
But I think that there's a lot of different approaches that everybody likes to take, and some are more sustainable than others. And I think that it is really almost shocking on the fact that you could still have that much strength the following day after taking a win like that. So, like I said, like that's something to be proud of for sure. And we're so excited to see you hit the stage in the coming weeks. Like it's like, oh, it's inching forward so quickly. So I want to know if you're going to leave somebody with a last piece of advice for them starting their health and fitness journey, hearing your story, what would you give them?
I would say that you need to do it for you and not for anybody else to get a gratification of like oh my God, look at her. She's so, this and that. And make sure it's what you want in your life. And if your life is ready for that, right? So if you're dealing with financial issues, or you're in a relationship that's a little rough, or there's things that are just not clicking yet, like when you want to go into something, and maybe that is and for some people maybe it is that you broke up with a boyfriend, and maybe this is driving you because it gives you focus, but make sure it's a healthy approach to wanting to prep. You're not prepping because you feel fat and
Mhm.
this is going to help you get
Help you with
your
your
body
body
managed.
image issues. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, it's not, it will make it feel worse, I am sure. I mean, I haven't personally, and it was one of those things that bodybuilding was a bucket list of mine in my early 20s, when I was going up with I got a degree in exercise science for my as I got out of high school. And I remember at that time I saw like a fitness magazine. I think it was Dana Lynn Billy. She's one of my favorite bodybuilders of all time. I'm like, oh, or physique bodybuilders. And I was like, man, I want to look like that one day. And I was just like, or like try to do that. And I was just like, at that time, my self body image, I knew that it was like, I would hate food. I would
Yeah.
not like moving. I
My
would
life would
probably,
suck,
my
right?
life would suck. And I was just like, I'm not ready for that yet.
Yeah.
And I knew that at that time. I was like, when I have more um, ability to love me for me and not
Mhm.
have body image issues or any of that sort, I will do it. And I think that was the perfect timing when I decided to try for that 2017 one.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was good timing just to jump in when I did,
Yeah.
and I wouldn't regret any of the other times. If I wanted to start earlier in my early 20s, it would have been, yeah, it would have probably messed me up right now. So
Well, and that's the thing is that you carried through the right mindset, obviously, no matter what hit you in 2017, for you to still continue after everything that you were faced. And like, look, you've just come out win after win after win after win. So you're obviously doing something right with your mindset, because it really does take a champion from the inside out to be one, right? It's not
mhm.
just about the physique on the outside, and I firmly believe that. So if people are looking to train with you in person and they want to, hit up a Pilates or a dance class, or maybe they just want to follow along with your journey, where is the best place for people to get a hold of you?
Yeah, so I'm on Instagram under Desiree Dice. Just no hyphens or anything like that. Facebook Dice Desiree. I my my Facebook last year got hacked, so I had to switch and get a new profile.
Good
Anyway,
times.
right. But I do have a link tree attached to both of those that you can even access. I actually just made up a website the other day, just kind of if you're looking just to do more online coaching with mobility stuff, Pilates things. If you can't come to lead Pilates studio to work with me personally,
Oh,
as I know
great.
that, yeah. So I wanted to make sure I can reach out to those, whether you're a 70-year-old grandma, to someone that's a strong man that's trying to work better on their hip mobility, to someone that's just a regular person that's just trying to get their shoes to get tied up without hurting their hip flexors. Like
Yeah.
whatever fitness of movement that you're trying to get better at, I am more than happy to help that person out.
Well, that is amazing. We can't thank you so much enough for your time. I'm going to tag your Instagram and the website in the show notes so everybody can go and check you out. You're going to have to keep us updated on this journey, because we are cheering you on, girl. And I know we'll probably connect again in the future for a podcast. We got lots of the same we have a lot of the same mindset when it comes to fitness and health, and we're obviously both bodybuilders, so I'm sure that we'll come back with some good topics for you guys. So thank you guys so much for tuning in, and you know that I will catch you next